Why, hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in to ChannelBK. My name is Brian. Look at how fucking late I am. Yeah, we're already getting into it. We're getting explicit off the bat. Brian, where's your top movies? Where's your top movies? Blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you guys something. COVID fucked us all, and it kind of moved everything around, and it took me a while to get every movie done. I will say even before doing this list, I still felt like there was a couple movies I wanted to view, but none of them ended up being films that actually technically came out in 2020, and then, I guess they did, because it's the whole premiering at film festivals and crap, but in terms of theaters, it was mainly kind of, you'll hear some of the movies on here that were out in 2020, and then I ended up being able to actually view in 2021, so this is more so my top films of 2020, but it is the top 25. This year, I thought, again, everything was crazy. Everything got screwed up. I do my hardest with these lists to be very specific, very, very thorough. I was about to say very thorough. But there are a couple movies. I'm not going to put up the pictures for them, but MLK FBI, The Father, and The White Tiger were films I wanted to watch. They technically came out in 2021. I do want to consider them 2021 movies, so those might be in this year's list, so we'll get to that. And again, there's films from 2016 to 2018 that I wish I watched before the list because they were game changers, like this one, or like this one, or like this one. This one is one that would have made the top three. Let us get into it. Now, again, I'm hoping some of these films did technically come out in 2020. I'm hoping, I did my best to sort of make sure and research and all that sort of fun stuff. So let's get into it. 25, Greyhound. I'm going to be honest, this movie worked most for me as a simple kind of Tenet, Dunkirky sort of thing, like 1917. It was very much just, it was an event. You kind of went with it. The adrenaline was high. I thought the performances were good for what it was meant to be. And honestly, I feel like a lot of the stuff at the beginning was kind of irrelevant to me before he got on the sub, but Tom Hanks is the freaking man. He is the captain. 24, Defy Bloods. Spike Lee's newest film. Rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. I think his performance was stellar. I think everyone was stellar. There is some issue, in my opinion, with some of the tone when it gets crazy in the end of the movie. I think Spike kind of, I'll be honest, fell apart a little bit. It kind of was disjointed, but I still thought it was a pretty solid film, and I really think it was interesting for all the stuff he was trying to balance. 23, Tenet, the film to save cinema. I definitely like this film a lot more than I feel like a good amount of people. This was definitely one of his most polarizing movies in a while, Christopher Nolan, but I think a lot of performances were great. I still think it has great set pieces, and the music was fantastic. 22, a film from a series that you're going to see many of on this list, but is the first one, Small Axe, Mangrove. In my opinion, it's the better version of Trial of Chicago 7, and it's fantastic, and Letitia Wright is kind of one of the leads in this film, and it is a gripping, just harrowing film from Steve McQueen. But following that up is kind of the opposite at 21 with Small Axe Education. I get why people don't like this one. It is one of the shorter ones. In my opinion, I think how this film was constructed was very heartbreaking and just emotional. And I think the subject of it was very interesting and something you don't hear a lot about in sort of normal films. It's a topic that's not talked about that much, I feel like. And I think the way Steve McQueen does it is very, in that 60-something minutes, it has to grab you. And I think the lead performance in it is spectacular, and I think he does a wonderful job. Number 20, Freaky, the fun film that I still don't believe Catherine Newton plays a ugly, sad girl. She's hotter than all the bullies in the movie. But Vince Vaughn, I don't like him that much, but he was hilarious. It is just a fun, gory, sexy, but also just insane fun time of a movie. Number 19, another movie that it's a stereotypical movie, but I think it's a film that I just loved as much as you. The Broken Hearts Gallery with Dacre. Is that how we
Yes, I
Dacre
think so.
from Stranger Things, and then oh my gosh, how am I literally just forgetting her name? Geraldine. Oh my god, Geraldine. I am so sorry. I need to put respect on that name. God damn. But this was just such a cute movie, and I think again the part of the movie that's the best thing is the two of them. It's a by the books, you know what happens, but they're just so good together.
I love that movie.
Number 18, Rocks. A film that doesn't over-sexualize children or, like, put black women, especially, in, like, a very uncomfortable situation. God, this was just a film that is so... It is honestly, what's so funny is it's definitely not one of the hardest movies I've watched this year, but it is in a way, because it's just so... It's so raw, and if you feel for these girls, all the girls in it are so great. It has such a fun, youthful energy to it without it being, like, so dark and, like, serious. But the stuff that it deals with is very hard to watch. Like, it is a very rough movie, but it's very beautiful. 17, One Night in Miami. I don't know how I didn't know this was a play until the end of the movie, because the whole movie I'm like, this seems like it was a play. Regina King, Oscar-winning actress, directorial debut. All I have to say is the four of them in this movie were fantastic, and this film was so intriguing and interesting, and I'm still thinking about it. 16, The Social Dilemma. All I have to say is, as I'm shooting this on my phone, holy shit, this movie's creepy. I do think it's a little over the top, but I think that was the point. Like, it was supposed to kind of be like, this is what social media people do to you. But it is still a very intriguing documentary. I like the way it's built. 15, The Devil All the Time. The movie where everyone is a piece of shit besides Peter Parker, and he's kind of a piece of shit, but not the biggest piece of shit. Everyone in this movie, I think, is phenomenal. It's definitely a film that... It is a heavy film, it is a dark film, but it's still intriguing, and the way all the storylines are intertwined is very fun. 14, this was the greatest movie of the year until more movies came out, and that's Sonic the Hedgehog, everyone. Hate me all you want. Jim Carrey gives one of the best performances, and I know people maybe there's no saying a lot. Jim Carrey's fucking brilliant. Ben Schwartz is brilliant. This movie... I think was the best video game movie adaptation. It's one of those films where I think the best stuff about it is the video game stuff, and then kind of the so-so stuff is dealt fine, but the two of them are just so great. Oh my god, so great. Of course I'd like a latte. I love the way you make them. 13, Palm Springs. This is lumped in that Brigsby Bear category of, like, movies I see and I'm like, oh, I feel like I know what it's going to be, but it throws you for a loop. I won't spoil too much. All I know is Andy Samberg's great in this. J.K. Simmons is great in this. The girl who plays the mom on How I Met Your Mother, Christine, I believe, or Christy, one of those two. I'm sorry, I know. Oh my god, Brian, you don't know the female's name. She was great. She was great. Number 12. Going back to Spike Lee. Spike Lee gets 2 movies on here, but a very random throw. David Byrne's American Utopia. It's not, stop making sense, but it's pretty fucking great. It's pretty fucking great. I love David Byrne's energy. The way the band is on stage and just the way Spike Lee directs it is incredible. And before our top 10, we get to number 11, Promising Young Woman, a movie that is on the nose for a lot of things, but it is still so funny, so dark. The way its commentary is told is so great. And then Carey Mulligan and Bo Burnham are just unstoppable. Unstoppable in this movie. But yeah, it's great. But okay, we're in the top 10, ladies and gentlemen. Things are fucking serious. And I'm going to be straight up honest with you guys. This is easily, I think since I've maybe been doing videos, from what I can remember, this is my favorite top 10 I've ever put together. This top 10, I think, is near incredible in terms of the variety and where I'm pulling from and just the films that came out. It's fantastic. Number 10, Kajillionaire, was a movie I went into with high expectations. I wasn't expecting it to be as weird as I thought it was. It seemed weird, but I wasn't ready for it to be as weird, which I do think there were 1 or 2 times where it fell a little bit like, okay, this is uncomfortable, but I don't think it's going in a good direction. But other than that, Evan Rachel Wood is is literally a chameleon. She is a comedic genius in this movie. I was telling my girlfriend, I didn't even realize the way she was walking in the movie, like hiding herself until the second time she's by herself, and I literally lost it. It is so funny. But it is so dark, and it's weird, and it's intriguing. It's definitely one of those films where it's about something that you never hear about, but it's told in a really fun way. Number 9, A Son. If you have 2.5 hours to watch this on Netflix, please do. I am warning you, it is a very depressing movie. It is a very dark movie. And it's a movie, I don't know if Jade can agree to this, but it is a movie, there's a lot of resentment in it. There's a lot of hate in it. It's just everyone in the movie is just so hateful towards one another. They're just so depressed. It's just a very dark film. Yeah. And it takes place over a long period of time. And it's one of those things where you kind of can feel like you know where it's going, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But when it hits the ending, it drops you, and it just builds to this phenomenal height of 2.5 hours, and it just hits you at the end. It's incredible. Number 8, my favorite of the Small Axe movies. Small Axe, Red, White, and Blue. What's so interesting about this movie is I saw a lot of reviews about it, and people were joking about, like, John Boyega did all this, and nothing happened. Oh, well. However, once again, I was having a conversation with my girlfriend, and the more I thought about this movie, the more I really thought to myself and said, I think that's the point. Like, that last conversation he has with his dad, there's a lot of parts in this movie that make me so upset and piss me off. But that last scene is one of the most impactful last scenes in a movie I've seen in quite some time. Just the idea of just being so blunt as to saying, yeah, maybe the whole system's corrupted, and we need to fucking burn it to the ground like the world and just start over. Like, I don't think the ending is John Boyega just accepting, I'm not going to be able to. I think it's really just the realization of he went in with a mission. He wasn't able to fulfill it. And it shows him versus his friend in the movie. His, I don't know the actor's name, but the guy who's Indian, and he has trouble, and that's why they relate to each other. It's just a very, again, I guess a lot of the movies I like this year are just so depressing, but we'll get to more of that. But I just thought it was so powerful of a statement. But in John Boyega, one of his best performances, if not his best performance. Number 7, Crip Camp, A Disability Revolution. Please watch this movie. This documentary is so, like, the way that these people, the way that these people cared for each other and fought for each other is one of the most emotional things ever. There is a scene in this movie where a guy is talking, and the whole time he's talking, you can't really, and this isn't an insult, he just definitely, when he's talking, you can't really make out a lot of what he's saying. And the way that the people at the camp literally can just tell what he's saying, and they just repeat it back, and it's like, oh no, this is what he was saying. It's just, there's so many moments to this that just hit you, and it's so beautiful. Number 6, a movie that definitely went down a little bit since I put this list together. The Way Back. Again, I told you it's a weird top 10, but honestly, I thought this movie was phenomenal. I don't know if I loved this movie as much as I did because of the hopes going into it, or if it was just kind of the year we had, but Ben puts out a terrific performance, whether, you like him or not at this point. It is a by-the-books movie. I do think when Gavin O'Connor does good, he does really good. And I do think this movie, even though there's some predictable stuff, there's also stuff in here that I feel like is very different than a normal by-the-books Hollywood story of this. And there's a lot of great moments. And I'm just a weird sucker for sports movies, which is odd. I'm not like the biggest sports person, but yeah, very good character study. I would say probably my favorite character study of the year is this next film at number 5, Sound of Metal. Riz Ahmed, go for that Oscar, because, buddy, this film is so, just everything about this movie is so exciting to see be put into the public eye, and it's such a well done movie, and just the journey that he takes, the journey that, oh my gosh, Dying Girl from Mira and the Dying Girl takes, his girlfriend. There are so many parts. Now, unlike Way Back, there's parts in this movie you think are going to go a certain way, and then it gets to the scene, and it goes the complete opposite. Or you get thrown something that you weren't expecting, and you almost, like, bawl your eyes out, because you're like, oh my gosh. It's so wonderful, so wonderful. Number 4, a film that made me realize maybe my country is not as screwed up as other countries, and that is just depressing documentary, Collective. If you guys thought that Spotlight was eerie and depressing, go watch this fucking movie, because you're just going to lose so much faith in the world. This is a film about Romania and its healthcare system and the way that it is literally fucked, rigged, and just bought by the government and by these people. And I can't. This movie makes me so mad. I've never been as mad watching a movie as I was this movie. This movie just makes me so angry. But there's so many parts to it that make me so uplifted, but then it's just also like, should I even be happy? Like, the ending, you feel happy, but you're not, because of everything that happens at the end of the movie.
And then the end credits roll, and you're irritated again.
Yeah, so it's just a nightmare. But it's still fucking phenomenal. Top 3. This is the hardest top 3 I've had to do. I've sat on this for a while. Again, I've been telling you the movies I had to see last minute, but I did want to wait a little. I think all these movies are perfect, and I did this top 3 based off of kind of what I wanted and sort of what I got after I remember watching the movies, and I will explain to you why I think all these movies deserve it, because I think all 3 of them are very different. So number 3, Minari, starring hometown boy Steven Yeun. Yes, I do feel like this movie shouldn't have been number 1, because it is definitely a movie that I feel like we've seen, but with the whole, it is from a different perspective, and I feel like there's still a lot to this that it's like, I feel like for people not to like this movie is kind of ridiculous. Like, you can even say, it's so by the books, blah, 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 but like, how can you not love it? Especially the grandma. Come on. Like, there's so many parts of this movie where you feel like you shouldn't even sympathize or be humanized by some characters, like this guy who lives in the town, this white kid, his dad. He comes in and you should kind of be like appalled by him, but he still has this funny charm to him that you're like, you're still enthralled by him. But yeah, it's phenomenal. Some of the jokes and gags in this, like the Mountain Dew bit, is in both ways, in terms of what Steven Yeun says about it, and in terms of the joke him and his grandma have, the kid and his grandma, are just so great. Number 2. This movie was my number 1 movie when I saw it, and it was my number 1 movie until recently, and it is a movie that now, unlike Minari, I was not expecting this movie to be so good. I knew it was going to be good, but I wasn't ready to be so emotional at the end, and also so intrigued, hopeful, but depressed. It is Boys State. What a fucking interesting movie. I never knew what Boys and Girls State was. I thought, no matter what I thought about the kids that were involved in it, I thought all of them were just incredible. Renee is great. He is a king, and he should run for president. And we're counting down to the days, because Renee is a god, and you should not fuck with Renee. Stupid kids. But anyways, this movie is phenomenal, and please check it out. Apple TV is where it's at. But number 1, well, let me just say it. It's Nomadland. I saw The Rider. It was in my top 20 that year. I was so impressed with Chloe Zhao. I was like, this woman just... It blew my mind, her being an immigrant from China, and a woman, too. And, like, no, that's not even me being sexist or racist. It's just, it blew my mind that someone from that was so intrigued by this sort of Americana edge. And that movie is so Americana. And this film is definitely a movie where the script takes second, and the film and the characters take first, because this film... It has a story, it has a direction, it has characters, it has certain beats, But it's all, it's all Frances McDermott, and it's all of these real life people that do this nomad land sort of stuff in this journey. And the way Chloe Zhao just contains it, in the cinematography and the music, I think I cried 7 times in this film. Like, this film is so heartbreaking and so mesmerizing. This is what I love about, like, Richard Linklater, where his movies are very plotless a lot of the time, but just the characters, like Before Trilogy or Boyhood, there's plot, but it's how those characters and the dialogue pulls you in. And it's stunning because you're done with the movie and you get blown away by how you kind of realize, like, is there even a script? Like, that's, I think, what's so wonderful is it kind of takes the best parts of Minari and puts it into real people, but it also takes the best part of, like, Boys State or Collective, which it feels like a documentary. Clearly, these are real people, besides Frances McDermott, who is playing, a version of a character like this. Because The Rider was the same way. I was blown away by that. This movie's great. I'm glad it's on Hulu. I want to watch it again. I don't care that we saw it in IMAX because it looked phenomenal. So, but a weird movie to see in IMAX. So, but yeah, that's my top 25. I feel like I've been talking too long. What are some of your favorite movies of the year? Do you agree, disagree? Leave them in the comments below. If you please like and please subscribe. I know we finally finished with lists, but I wanted to do this list right. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope we have a great 2021. Please follow me on socials, all that usual boring mumbo jumbo, and hopefully more videos are going to come out where they're not just lists and classic reviews, and check out all my other lists and the classic reviews. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop talking. Thank you for tuning in to Channel BK, and peace out, guys.